necessity entrepreneurship. That is where you just selling things or engaging in activities that would only help you to put food on the table. To me, that is not productive entrepreneurship. But productive entrepreneurship is where you are engaging in entrepreneurial activities that are based on opportunities that have been identified, and that activity has got or present opportunities for growth, and the activity that you are engaged in can also be scalable. So that is why I was saying that it's not productive. So productive entrepreneurship is the one that is going to facilitate for, contribute to economic growth.
I think we lost the Mogeti.
Oh, okay.
I guess we can maybe continue into that aspect. You can maybe continue to elaborate as we wait for him.
Okay. If I were to, I'm just no, I'm reading a comment from one of my my former students.
Okay.
Yeah. So we believe that for entrepreneurship to have an impact, or for individuals to engage in entrepreneurship to have an impact on economic growth, we have to undertake activities that would grow, that have potential for growth. But if you have someone who is just selling stuff by the roadside, that is merely for their own good. They are only doing that to put food on the table, and they very little dent can be made on economic growth. As much as it is important for someone to improve their standard of living, but it's not productive in the sense that it cannot have an impact on economic growth.
Maybe I would go on to say that you'd find that most of the time entrepreneurship is seen as a plan B. Maybe it could be the reason why really we are not engaged in this progressive opportunity-driven entrepreneurship. So maybe seeing it as a plan B, then definitely is the reason why really most of Bajana now drive into this necessity-based entrepreneurship.
I don't even think it's plan B per se, because people are doing it out of desperation. You need to take your kids to school. You need to clothe your kids. You need to provide food, and you need to maybe put shelter over your family. And that is why people engage in necessity type entrepreneurship. And I know that there are some programs that are promoting the hawkers, those people who have got kiosks. They can go and get funding from SIDA. It's a good start. They are learning how to engage in entrepreneurial activities, and I would maybe players, or players out there in the entrepreneurship landscape might maybe need to start working with these people and try to mobilize them so that they can be able to move from the necessity type to opportunity type entrepreneurship, because at least they would have demonstrated that they want to do something about their lives. But it's just how do we channel that energy to for them to be productive and contribute much to the economy.
Okay. Yeah, I understand. I've had Mogeti say that you've been into this space, entrepreneurship and startups, and this is the topic that you've really invested so much years in it. So I would like to believe there are root causes, or the reason why maybe you'd find that, because I feel like Bajana, yes, it's starting to pick up pace, but we were really even as Ken, what we have seen is that students just go to school to learn, to get a degree and get a job. So go to school, get a degree and get a job. Entrepreneurship has never really factored in more equationing from Batsegi Barona way back. So how now do we, because I believe like the environment as it is now, strategies, we want to be a resource based economy. We want to have more graduates. What does it say to now saying you be graduate, but still you can venture into entrepreneurship? Because I believe there's so much money in it. So in terms of the root causes, maybe has there been any changes as to now where Nyami Ngari we are becoming more progressive into this entrepreneurship thing?
Okay. We did some years back, I think from 2014 and 2015, if I remember, we were part of the Global Entrepreneurship Monitor, and the University of Botswana did the local study on, you know, for that research. And what we have realized is that the youth, most of the youth are aware of what entrepreneurship is, but from experience with my students, you'd be amazed to see that even as they have enrolled for entrepreneurship program, you ask them why they have enrolled in the program, because when you start, you want to see whether they are into this, they chose to be here, or they, what was their motive for taking the course or taking the program. You find that some were just fascinated by the name entrepreneurship. Some would even tell you that they were chosen by the course, and basically meaning that they had something else in mind, but then maybe what they wanted to do was not available, and then they had to choose something else. So they ended up just opting for entrepreneurship. So you find that then this affects their performance in terms of, because the university wants to graduate entrepreneurs. But if you have someone who was just chosen by the program into, going through the program, they are just, going through motions. They are not learning much as compared to those who really wanted to become entrepreneurs. So we still have people who are completing the course or the program who still want to go and look for jobs. Would come to your office every day asking for references because they want to apply for jobs. It's fine. I mean, for them to, some of them who realize that they can be entrepreneurs, to look for jobs, they would at least make better employees, because they are able to identify opportunities. They can become entrepreneurs within existing organizations.
Okay. Okay. And maybe I can dive in. When at the early days of establishing campus entrepreneurship, really there was that need of now saying because students were here was the thing, they want to be entrepreneurship. They had ideas, but they didn't want to share their ideas. So there was this mist of saying, if I tell you my idea, you're going to steal it. Because what we wanted to do was to direct you, like, what do you have? Who do you need for your idea to be refined, maybe? So yeah, I think really, as for the interest is still there, but now we need to really, we really need to encourage more students to really get into business.
I think, Mokesi, we were just waiting for you to come back, and we didn't want to stop and wait, so we just started. Thanks to the dialogue, he was able to ask a few questions.
Well, trust me,
you.
When you see me disappearing, just know that I've gone to backstage to allow the audience to enjoy your insights without my skewed views. I tend to be too strong sometimes. But anyway, I just brought myself back into the screen because I want to now get into the core content. So, Dr. G, we've got a lot of universities in Botswana. I think every university has an incubator or accelerator. I know you are one of the first people to set up an incubator and accelerator inside a university. You know, many years ago, 10 years ago actually, 2001, somewhere there, when people were getting excited about the internet economy, you guys set up an incubator inside the business school, GoUB, and you were trying to do the whole incubation model. Then later on, we saw, you know, other universities copying that, BAC, Butu University with their now, I forget the name for what it's called. IDM also, they've got their own entrepreneurship program. I mean, we have seen like growth of these programs, and also what we've picked is that a lot of people say the entrepreneurial spirit doesn't exist more university, and they blame you guys when students go out of the university, then they're unemployed, then businesses, as you say, they basically cannot start businesses. I mean, with your experience and insight, how would you do it better if you were to remodel universities to really do a correct model which can inspire a graduate that's an outside curriculum? Then, of course, let me also mention, I was listening to the Global Expo sessions. Sorry to reference them. My friends from BITC, they brought somebody from Israel to come and teach about crowdfunding. But you know, crowdfunding was used to build University of Botswana. I mean, I was a little bit shocked that you leave your own model or example, and then you bring somebody from Israel to come and teach you entrepreneurship. Wasn't the University of Botswana actually built on that model? Yeah, you're being entrepreneurial. Isn't that the way to localize and to do things properly than to borrow, just bring thousands of things into the market and then confuse people? I just want your views on the 3 points. Just to repeat them, the first point is, look, every single university in Botswana has some incubator or entrepreneurship program. What are they doing there, Dr. G? What is the impact of all of that? The second thing,
maybe just to correct, the Global Business Labs was started in 2012. But teaching of entrepreneurship as a subject has been, something that has been ongoing at the university for quite some time. But the program, entrepreneurship program, was started in 2012 as well. So this is where we had a bachelor's degree students who focused mainly on entrepreneurship. If you ask what I would change, maybe if I were to improve on the program, is facilitation of multi-skilled, multidisciplinary teams in the course. Not just to close it to BBA entrepreneurship, maybe open up the program for other students to also be part of to also do entrepreneurship, because you find that because our kids live in an era, the computing era or the internet era, they tend to identify opportunities that are related to technology, that are related to the internet, maybe perhaps saying the Internet of Things. But we find that they have to start looking for other students now from other faculties to work with them on the project. And when it comes to the end of the program, I mean, at the end of the year, everybody's focusing on their assessments. So those ones that they tried to seek help from, they are also looking to meet their own requirements, course requirements. So sometimes the help doesn't come that cheap for the business students. So maybe that is something that maybe we can, as universities, try to see how we can facilitate for maybe entrepreneurship education across all the faculties. Hello, I think maybe you can assist us.
On the issue of the spirit, how do we bring the entrepreneurship spirit into the university?
Oh, okay. I think I still believe that like any subject, entrepreneurship can be taught. It's just for us to provide a conducive environment for students to start thinking entrepreneurially. When you come into the University of Botswana, you find that most of the students are working around with something to sell, whether it's first cakes, whether it's scones or whatever. So it means that they are thinking that they need, at least they some thought of, or they have identified a need to start making money. And I think we can piggyback on that and start teaching them about the right type of entrepreneurship that they can engage in. When we did the global entrepreneurship, the global business lab, we used to run seminars and we would have students from across other universities coming for those seminars, even across faculties. So I think maybe that's something that maybe we need to make time for and try and get entrepreneurs as they come into the universities. We also are very thankful that the government is now talking about bringing or starting entrepreneurship at school. So you have students coming from their form five, they would have all done entrepreneurship education. So we hope that then when they come into universities, they would at least be enlightened about you know, what entrepreneurship is, and they would make better choices in terms of what they want to do when they get to the universities.
Rambusi, maybe you could interject there on my
Yeah,
issue.
I really, yeah, go on. Okay. I really liked Dr. G's comment on saying that entrepreneurship should go cross faculties because it's not a standalone. It's broad. It's really broad because entrepreneurship is open to anybody who sees a need and who wants to solve the need. Because at the end of the day, it's problem solving. So problem solving exists for everybody. So really, um, I heard what Dr. G said, and even the startup weekend model where like you want students to come up with a problem, solve it in a startup weekend kind of thing. You would really need diverse people of different backgrounds, from your graphic designing, from your software design. It cuts across really. So until universities maybe open it up to everybody who wants it, and then the students can now come together and start building something. Because I feel like it's not a standalone thing. And when Ken started, it was really tough because now you have to persuade students to say, guys, do you have any plan after graduating? What are you going to do? Are you going to look for a job, or you have any business idea that you want to implement? So it was really tough. In my experience at my university, I did at Baisar University, there wasn't any of an entrepreneurship club back then, or any form of incubation. So really, the mood around the university, students come in, students come out. So there wasn't anything that was keeping them in the school to say, we have a similar of thoughts. Okay, how now do we help each other to now go forward? So I think universities really have a huge role that they play in startups and entrepreneurship. Universities can really fix the environment. They can really do it. They can pave, fix the foundation. Because I feel like the students are the market. These are the people that really can drive entrepreneurship. They are tech savvy. Universities, when they are there, is the moment where we are curious. You'd really want to try this and that. So if at all the university environment was that good, then definitely I feel like we'd have a better chance of having great entrepreneurs?
I think what our students need to understand is that there are no more jobs. Most of us, when we finished the Form 5, we already knew where we were going to work. But nowadays, we even have master students, graduates who are unemployed. And they have to start thinking about what they can do to employ themselves and to employ others. We can no longer, rely on the government to provide employment, or the private sector to provide employment.
Maybe I can. There's this thing again. The difference between startup and entrepreneurship. I'm saying this because most of the time, Dr. G, you mentioned this earlier. I would say that I'm an entrepreneur because I have a tendering company. I would say that I'm an entrepreneur because I have a food outlet there. So, but there is real money in startups. What other countries are doing through startups, the FDI, they are able to law into their countries through startups is really amazing. I feel like this is where now we need to really get our students to see what is startup and how much of money is out there through startups. Because now Botswana, we have an opportunity because we are not as developed as other countries. Our processes are still slow. I feel like there's a whole lot more that can be done through Botswana and the SADC countries.
It's interesting that you are mentioning foreign direct investment. When we start, I don't know why, maybe you answered me, both you and Moetis and Dihan. When you start a company, when you register a company, most of the time when you decide on the share capital for the company that you start, how much is the normal share capital that goes on the certificate?
100.
Normally, we opt for 3,000.
Oh, yeah.
And imagine that you are going to look for an investor coming from outside to invest in your company. Can you, offer shares 30,000 one value to an investor coming from outside? Why can't we maybe from the onset just register a company at the shares to say 1 million or 3 million?
Right.
Huh.
Well, do you want me to comment on that?
Yes.
I mean,
I want to say that even your company, you put the 3,000 bula.
Yeah.
Okay. For my side, if I can chip in, I actually, when I started my company, I just realized that how much shares I have. It wasn't something that I put much thought to it. I just needed to get the paperwork so that I can go and start. So if at all things like this is stuff that we overlook, especially when you start a company, then definitely it means that the knowledge and the information really out there is really lacking. So now you've given me something to put thought to it. Because now it means that if at all I were to get an investor, I was going to encounter a problem just before I would even get off the ground.
Anyway, I was going to comment on it. I think I try to stay far away from policy issues because that's a point. I think Dr. G knows sometimes people look at the way our policy is designed and it affects entrepreneurs. I mean, if you look at countries like Rwanda, how they're structured their company policy, around company formation and so on. That's why they're so attractive, and they do cater for different businesses, by the way. not just companies. I mean, even businesses, those are two different things. So it resonates very well with what G is saying, that there's a certain need for education, even on just what a company is or what a business is. And then we need to make sure that the instruments that sit behind those things that we call companies or businesses are correct. Because there's no way you're going to bring in Richard Branson as an investor in your company. I got 300, I got 3,000 pula and one pula. That is not even a currency. And one pula has a currency. You would wonder if you are actually very serious, you know. So I think that's a challenge to policy, to consider if this was done in 1996, in 1966, perhaps now we're in 2020, those things need to be reviewed. But also, Dr. G, you referenced the issue of the Global Entrepreneurship Monitor, which really, I think you guys used to do a lot of good work to give us positioning where we are as a country. Because data is the new oil now, okay? Without research and data, we can't know irrelevant because we don't know like what is happening in other parts of the world, and we can't make a comparison. So perhaps for those that are listening, Dr. G is asking simply how competitive is the company law ya Botswana when Hare level in relation to other regional countries? Would an investor prefer to take up Namibia versus or South Africa vis-a-vis taking Botswana? So those are questions that influence other people who are not at nascent stage entrepreneurship. Somebody who understands company law, that's the first thing they look at and say to you, yeah, we can't incorporate in Botswana because of 1, 2, 3, 4 barriers. Then what they do is they incorporate to South Africa, then they just set up a branch in Botswana. Then it's capital flight. So, Dr. G, maybe you can expand on what you think practically needs to be done from an education perspective for those that are either registering companies or even doing businesses. Education, and who does it? Is it the university's role, or is it a triple P that you are calling for, so that people understand what is a company and what should be the proper value of a company comparing to other parts of the world?
When you look at the decision here for the shareholding, I don't think the policy is forcing us to opt for 3,000. It's only that the type of people that we are using, I cricket the company secretaries, they've been used to the 3,000, shareholding. So that is what they are opting for. But I think if you look at the it's not limiting us to the 3,000. You can take even whatever shareholding that you want. I think the other problem is that when we are starting companies, we are we are creating new ventures. We are mainly looking at supplying or maybe looking at working locally. Yet we know that our market is limited. So we need to be starting companies that we think can be relevant. We start locally, but we are starting companies that can be relevant regionally, because regionally we have a larger market. As you know, that Botswana, our population is very, very small. But coming to the issue of education, I think, yes, it is the role of educational institutions to drive the entrepreneurship agenda. So we expect that, which is good, what we are beginning to see, that most of the educational institutions have some entrepreneurial activities, have some entrepreneurial other courses or programs in terms of business incubation. So one could see that we are maybe going the right way, the right direction in terms of trying to bring entrepreneurship education in our institutions. But now the difference comes as to at what level are we intervening? Do we just want to, produce students who know about entrepreneurship, those who can maybe participate in entrepreneurial activities of other companies, or maybe those who can maybe even become entrepreneurs themselves? So that is what is going to differentiate the different types of universities.
So tell me, there's this new topic called ecosystem building. It's a buzzword. How does the university help build the ecosystem of either programs that contribute towards better output of graduates? How would we start if we were to practically look at Gaborone or Botswana itself? Maybe you could intervene, and then Musi could make some comments on that.
Okay, I think the ecosystem for me, basically it involves different players, stakeholders who can contribute to the development of entrepreneurship in our country or in an economy. But we have different understandings of what an ecosystem is. We can have an internal ecosystem within a university where we coming up with things or activities that can have facilitate for a vibrant entrepreneurial activities within the university. So that will be an internal development of an internal ecosystem. Earlier on, I mentioned about maybe universities seeking to see that entrepreneurship is embraced by all faculties in the university. This is where maybe we have courses that are mandatory, like communication. Every student has to take a communication course. When they come to the university, they have to do management courses. Maybe entrepreneurship, if is also treated like and not as an elective, but as an option that is as an elective that needs to be taken by everybody within the university, then maybe we can start developing an internal ecosystem. But we can also develop an ecosystem that brings on board every player. We need finance for our students to start developing their businesses. So we can have maybe those financiers who can come in and support our students. We need mentors. We need coaches. We need, all those players that can be able to work with the students. We even need the business communities to bring their problems to the universities to say, we are grappling with this problem. Can you help us come up with a solution? And that's having that would particularly bring about or promote a vibrant entrepreneurial activity within the university.
Yes, I was actually listening to yesterday's session with Q Wealth, the one that Mugis had with Q Wealth, and actually what Mohamuti said is that as the business people within the field, they owe it to give back to the universities. That they need to go to the students and teach them and share with them their ideas. So my take on ecosystem, startup is that there's a lot that needs to be done. When I had an idea, it was tough for me to prototype because now I cannot pitch something that I haven't prototyped, or I cannot really put my whole business together to pitch. So it's really tough, and we really need to figure out all these challenges that are looking students from enterprising. So all the players need to take part in this. They really need to see to it that we foster this students to enterprise. We also there aren't many events that's around entrepreneurship. I'll mention we don't have like your startup weekends. We don't have like your events that students can go to and be inspired and maybe give them into the right direction. Where you'd find that okay, this university is hosting a seminar. Not really a hands-on event that says, do you have something? What do you have? Where do you lack? So as the smallest things like this that if corrected, then definitely would have an army of students that are that have businesses that needs to be perfected and they can enterprise. So I think, yeah, we really need to fix the ecosystem, let all the universities work together, because it's not a UB thing, a Baisaho thing, or Boto thing. It's the Naiskuri Hustler is really relying on this for this to really work out.
Yeah, I mean, you share interesting insights, Ramusi, about you think entrepreneurship is the next frontier. That's why when I started, I said it seems to be the new currency, the new baby on the block. I mean, I'm sort of curious though. I see that a lot of universities are in towns and cities, Dr. G. What happens to children or youth who are in the rural areas where there is no university? Who then supports them with entrepreneurship? Where does who takes care of those people that are not in the mainstream towns and cities in terms of entrepreneurship? And I'm saying this deliberately, Gauri. I know you're from Maung, and Maung is our tourism hub, and that place is lively, but there's no university. How do we inspire places like Maung and Kasani where there's no university to start adopting, proactive entrepreneurship that leverages their advantage?
I want to believe that university should not work in isolation. We may not have our footprint in those areas, but obviously we have partners that are working in those areas. So it's for us to facilitate, platforms that could enable us to work with partners like the Minister of Sports, Youth and Culture, which its mandate is to develop the youth, and they are not only looking at developing youth in terms of sports and other things. It should be a holistic development, including entrepreneurship, and I think that is what we can start looking into improving our relationships with our stakeholders. We have got footprints in those areas. Of course, as universities, we do have time to go and do research. We do have time to go and do community service, and as well as consultancy that we can maybe engage with those institutions. So we don't need to have a university in Shagawe for us to be able to intervene in Shagawe.
Maybe I can mention something here. I remember the first time I encountered entrepreneurship at junior school, it was through Junior Achievement Botswana JAB. So I don't know if it still exists. So one thing I knew is that JAB was in all junior schools. So if at all a platform like JAB, if it still exists to date, universities can really take part in ensuring that they keep the fire burning from junior school onwards. So it doesn't necessarily have to be maybe from any other institution. So knowing that every student in Botswana has an opportunity to go to a junior school, if the closest thing they would have to know about entrepreneurship could be a junior school club or job, like I said. So I feel like this can be strengthened to ensure that no one is left behind.
So, okay, I wanted to ask Dr. G. I mean, we know like now hotels are closed in these places like Mao, lodges are closed. What would it take for one of the lodges or hotels to be converted into a incubator or accelerator, their tourism or so on, where your students or your graduate students could then be put in to tinker around and develop things and break things apart and make things. I mean, it's really, we're not going to go build another innovation hub, but I think nobody now is making use of tourism, and it's going to be dead for the next 5 years or 3 years as people want. But we want to leverage advantage AI, an institution like yours, which is the University of Botswana, which has a talent that is coming every year to do masters, and you see these students doing research, but you are like, can I commercialize this and do something exciting? And if there was development partners listening to this conversation right now, and they hear us practically saying, there's a place called Maung, which has got high poverty, but it's an advantage, it's a zone in the country. And there's another place called Kasani similarly. If we have to do a disruptive outreach program that leverages the University of Botswana together with Kayen, what would be the steps, the 1, 2, 3, 4 steps to do, Dr. G?
You are putting me in a tight corner. I don't want to be speaking for what the university can do, but I think like any challenge the area that Maung has become because of the COVID pandemic and its effect on tourism. We have had problems even previously pertaining to foot and mouth, and that have affected the economic activities in the area. So I want to believe that not only the university needs to be looking into how to go about improving the economic status of the area, but I think there are always opportunities like this that arise, and that could present an opportunity for a project to be developed around improving the economic activity in the area, and that would include how to facilitate for the communities there to start thinking entrepreneurially, how they can maybe facilitate for identification of different entrepreneurial opportunities that are not reliant on this problematic areas, because I want to believe that they, if you engage with the communities, they might be able to identify other activities that can be done that are not reliant on the areas that are problematic, like cattle and now tourism.
Yeah, and we can even say that I'm from Maung as well, so it hits home really. We have like basket weaving, and I feel like there is a lot of opportunities that the people ba Maung or Gasani, they can take advantage of if tourism goes down, because now it means that they don't really need to learn the basics of business, of branding, of how to package your business, because you'd find that they already do have the products, but is now getting the products to the customers. So the e-retail, maybe it's one of the opportunities that maybe can be really availed to the communities, because they do have the products, but it's only limited to who can see them. So if at all market-wise, we can or roll out the e-commerce, I think that would be really good.
But then even when you are talking about basketry, remember that the basketry activity is also centered around the tourists who are no longer coming to Maung. So this is why I was saying that we need to maybe start working with the communities there to see whether we can be able to identify other activities. There is also this thing here, Botswana, we have been going outside the country for as tourists ourselves, but we don't know much about our own country. So maybe the hotels and other players can start focusing on how to, market our tourism spaces as spaces of choice, so that instead of one maybe choosing to go outside the country, they could maybe start going to see this other country. I think that Seresi and some colleagues that went around Botswana have demonstrated to us that they are indeed areas that are of interest, and we might need to go and start working on what they have started, just to sell our destinations as destinations for choice, even for the locals. But earlier on we were talking about ecosystems, and I want to believe that we need to be working as stakeholders in these areas. We have a lot of educated people from around these areas who have worked in universities. So I think we have our retirement age is at 60. And we have people who have been working as policy makers who have retired and gone back to our home villages, and we need to start seeing how we can work with them so that we can revive, because they still have the energy. They still able-bodied. They can be able to, if universities work with this type of retirees, to start and rejuvenate the economies. They can even become mentors for young people who are growing in their own areas.
Yeah, while I give Dr. G, yeah, while I give Dr. G just a little break, grab a cup of water. She's asked to do that. We have 5 minutes, actually 7 minutes to conclude. Tell us, Tihalo, I keep getting your name wrong. What are your nuggets in terms of us making sure that these insights that you have shared as representative of student entrepreneurship organizations? What are the nuggets that you think the ecosystem should take in as a next step? Just your own call to action.
Okay. My call to action would be that first of all, I feel like now universities, they need to work together in ensuring that the students participate in entrepreneurship. This is how it's going to be done. For us to have a hackathon, or to have a startup weekend, or to have a demo day or anything, we need students of all backgrounds, from software development to marketing, for them to really sit and come up with the business ideas that can work locally. So for this to really work out, I just feel like universities really need to roll entrepreneurship across. Let it not be a standalone course like it has been for the years. Secondly, the students, they are tech savvy. The use of smartphone has increased. I feel like we can do a whole lot more to show students that you can enterprise, you can enter any business. It's possible. Entry is now easy. So my call just for universities to really come forward and make sure that students are empowered to enterprise, and also for existing entrepreneurs to go to universities, let them avail themselves, let them share their expertise and their experiences with entrepreneurship with the students, and maybe their interest will grow really. Because I believe, like, for us,
that's very interesting.
Yeah. Okay, I was saying that because our DLS Campus Entrepreneurs Network was just to bring resources to university students, but it can be unpacked further. So if at all we need the resources closer to the students to lure them into entrepreneurship, I feel like a whole lot more can be done. So let's perfect the startups or the ecosystem around the university outward into our communities.
So maybe another point is, since you sit on the Global Shapers Gaborone, how are you guys inspiring new imagination and new innovations among university, using your relationship between Kayan and the Global Shapers? Maybe you could speak a little bit about that.
Okay. Currently, we have ongoing projects in the Global Shapers Gaborone Hub. I'll mention that, but one being the Great Resets. So the Great Reset dialogues have been ongoing. We with COVID, what had happened. Now we're trying to reimagine a new space. So I guess for anybody who wants to know more about the Great Reset dialogues, they can log into the Global Shapers Gaborone Hub Facebook page. More information is available there, or they can get hold of us to know how they can take part in, because it's more about now we are resetting. We are at resetting. How now do we move forward from where we are with COVID? But in terms of Ken and global shapers, I think it's something that I'm still looking into to now how do I bring this now global experience locally? Because I feel like there are a whole lot of global shapers that are doing good, or with a whole lot of experience, with a whole lot of connections that can be leveraged to ensure that our communities really do benefit from it. So it's something that I'm really looking forward into, and I'm really trying to figure out how to position it. So I just need to present it to the hub, and it will move from there.
Yeah, we do realize that the Global Shapers has a very strong voice, which gets given platform at the World Economic Forum annually. I mean, if you have to take a message from Botswana World Economic Forum in terms of entrepreneurship in education or higher institution of learning, what would your message basically?
Botswana, I think Botswana has been known for having the best policies on paper, or we can we can write down what we really aspire as a nation. So I feel like now that we have a whole curriculum which can be revised, but now what we are lacking is now how do we practicalize this? Because now I feel like as Botswana, we are still left behind a little back. So we really need to see how other developing countries are doing better. How are they doing it better as compared to us? So I think we really need expertise in terms of now making things more practical. So yeah.
G wa re tell re setse re anong re ta ko botsong ko bohelong, and I thought you could give us the final plan o re lemele ditlhare tsa bofelo.
Well, I think because we are talking entrepreneurship education is important. Like I want to emphasize that maybe every student, because of the situation that we have, every student should be given an opportunity of going through an entrepreneurship education course. So they have to at least learn how to identify opportunities. They need to learn how to start a new venture. And those are the basics that maybe we need to be given to all our students. And also there's an issue of research on entrepreneurship. Basically, we don't have many papers that are coming out of our country in terms of facilitating for us to understand what really goes on into the entrepreneurship space. So right now we are saying a lot of things that are not based on any research that has been any academic research that has been carried out. So I think there's need for research. We also maybe need to work with stakeholders, interested stakeholders within the country to fund the Botswana's participation in international research, like the Global Entrepreneurship Monitor, the other studies that is done by I can't remember JEDI study. So we need to maybe make sure that we also participate in this type of research so that we are able to at least make conclusions that are based on research. I'm particularly interested in issues that they are going to help alleviate the issues COVID-19 in the tourism sector. I think Ditehalo, also coming from my home village, these are the issues that we might need to see how do we facilitate for things to start working or driving them around Maung, and making sure that people are getting value in terms of alternative products and services that can come out of the region without necessarily relying on cattle and tourism.
All right, sounds
I'm
exciting. Yeah, certainly very exciting panel session today, this morning, Saturday, part of the Global Entrepreneurship Week. We were having a great discussion this morning about the emergence of entrepreneurship in higher education and colleges and schools, and how we think this is going to impact the future. And we've also really talked about how we see the impact of COVID-19 on the growth of entrepreneurship, whether employment or opportunity creation. I would like to thank colleagues, Rem Musi from Dr. G from the University of Botswana for sharing their strategy, for inspiring the culture, and definitely calling on for the execution of these new ideas in order to make sure that entrepreneurship doesn't only become an important subject of this today, but it also brings in relevant programming at both economy and policy level. So, colleagues, I think I'm becoming more of a champion and a person thinking about retirement, about these things for startups and entrepreneurship. But that's why really bitsa gore le re thuse go aka le gone gore maybe we try to debunk the ideas that great companies cannot be built in Botswana. We think that it can be done through relationships like these. And I can say it's not coincidence that I knew gore Musi is from Mau and Dr. G is from Mau. So I think the call to action is for the two of you to have a coffee. It could be a virtual coffee after this, and make sure that you build something that we can speak about in our session next year. So I would like to thank you sincerely for participating in the Global Entrepreneurship Week. And I would like to give you each 1 minute to maybe share your contacts and give your last words to our viewers who are attending from all across the world.
Okay, contacts as in emails and.
If you prefer, you can give them email or social media handle, whatever is best, where they can reach you. Well, Dr. G, you don't need to give out your details, your numbers, but I think anybody who's looking for you will be the find you at the business school.
Yeah, that's my email. You can share that.
Great. Let's just pick that.
Okay, I want to believe we are done. Can I go?
Yeah, I think we can stop here for today, colleagues. There is the email for Dr. G. G@ub.ac.bw. So on behalf of the Global Entrepreneurship Week, thank you everybody for tuning in and for staying the course. This session has been recorded. It will appear on the Global Entrepreneurship Week Botswana Facebook page. You see it, and feel free to download it and share it with others who missed out on this session. I would like to thank you for making time and for always supporting our work. Ram Musi, I don't know if you've shared your contacts, if they would like to reach out to you.
Yeah, we can be reached at Campus Entrepreneurs Network and on Facebook, and then Musi Ditihalo, my second name and my first name at gmail.com.
Without a dot.
No, it's one word. Musi
Okay.
Ditihalo at gmail.com. One word.
That's it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Bye bye to everybody. Bye bye, everybody.